A new front has opened in the Syrian civil war. The Syrian Free Army, which is trying to overthrow President Bashar al-Assad, is now facing opposition from pro-government Kurdish fighters in northeastern Syria. The latest clashes sent waves of people scurrying across the border into Turkey, adding to the growing refugee crisis in the region. CCTV's Nina Donaghy has been following developments and she joins us now. Nina, how has the international community been responding to this latest turn of events?
Well, there's still a great deal of discord throughout the international community on how to address the crisis in Syria. Europe is lending more vocal support to this new-look opposition. The Qataris and the Saudis, on the other hand, are a lot more involved on the ground, providing cash, weaponry and personnel. But the US is still very hesitant to provide anything beyond diplomatic pressure, communications equipment and humanitarian aid, and is very cautious about dealing with opposition groups inside and outside the country.
It will have a domino effect that affect the world from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and you know the implication on the rest of the world.
For once, even Bashar al-Assad's detractors seem to agree with him. The international community not only remains divided over how to end the bloodshed in Syria, but over how to deal with its ever-shifting opposition.
The regime in Syria has successfully been able to fragment the opposition to the extent that basically there isn't a single file process that allows for a single authority, recognized authority, to represent all of these different factions. It's going to be extremely difficult for any international process to bring these groups together and make it work in a concerted effort against the regime.
The European bloc has cautiously recognized the newly dubbed Syrian National Coalition for Opposition and Revolutionary Forces, now basing itself in Cairo and led by moderate Damascus cleric Moaz al-Khatib. And marking a shift in policy, Great Britain is now the group's most vocal backer. Prime Minister David Cameron visiting Syrian refugees in Jordan, promising communication support, humanitarian aid, and asking them to provide an ambassador to the UK.
The US government has sort of passed on the torch of responsibility in Syria to other regional powers, largely because there's a strong sort of sentiment, a strong hostility towards foreign intervention in that region. And so to avoid, again, playing into the hand of Bashar al-Assad, they've played it at a safe distance.
The US still expresses concern, however, over Syria's fragmented opposition, with certain rebel factions disowning their latest representatives on the world stage.
There are disturbing reports of extremists going into Syria and attempting to take over what has been a legitimate revolution against an oppressive regime for their own purposes.
And Turkey's request for Patriot missile systems from NATO has prompted an uneasy Russia to break its silence on Syria.
The main concern is the more weapons they are, the greater the risk that they will be used.
Well, London has also been floating the idea of lifting the European arms embargo on Syria, but under international law, this would only work if the opposition could prove it needed weapons for self-defense. But again, this raises serious questions about foreign weapons falling into the wrong hands. Anand.
Thanks, Nina Donaghy reporting there.